At one time, it is said that President Mobutu Sese Seko of what was then Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of Congo, had more money than his own country. And the irony, of course, is that he had stolen it from the country. So never be impressed by the idea Africa is more corrupt. Corruption in Africa is just more crude and more painful and more hurtful because it denies us of very basic requirements. Corruption will never be totally eliminated. In the nature of human beings is that we'll always engage in some kind of shortcut, but corruption can be reduced to a very minimal level so that it is the exception rather than the rule. And that is what we are anchoring upon. We must reduce corruption so that it is the exception other than the rule. As it is now, corruption is the rule. Honesty is the exception. Can it be done? Yes, it can be done. Has it been done? Yes, it has been done.
So, like the West will always say, Africa is the most corrupted place. Africa is too corrupt. That is why Africa is not making any progress. That if you want to see corruption, go to Africa. That is what the West would say. But let me play you a video so that you can hear an alternative view about corruption from someone who is more knowledgeable about the subject. So let's hear what Prof. Lumumba had to say.
Switzerland comes number one as the least corrupt. But the last time I checked, a handler of stolen goods is guiltier than the person who stole the goods because he is an enabler. So Switzerland is a beneficiary of corruption. That is smart corruption. All the tax havens, Cayman's Islands, Guernsey, these are the home of corruption. African countries don't, African corrupt people, African thieves, even presidents don't have faith in the countries that they are governed. So they keep money in those places. So corruption in Europe has evolved and it's become a little smarter. And for that reason, they claim that they are not corrupt, but they are the ones who give a veneer of legality. They're the ones who give refuge, if you may, to money that has been stolen, not only in Africa, but in different parts of the world. So they are the most corrupt. The corruption in Africa is more crude. This is the problem. The corruption in Africa is very crude. You see it in your face. This is why it is much more painful. And it is painful because our systems don't even work. In Europe and America, over the years, they have succeeded in using the money that they stole from us during slavery and colonization to make systems work. So that their public systems work, their travel systems work, their education system work, their health systems work largely. But in Africa, you have individuals who are taking food out of the mouths of people who are causing death by taking things from the health sector, from agricultural sector. In the United States of America, in order to give a veneer of legality to corruption, people who are midwives and enablers of corruption are called lobbyists. They call them lobbyists. These are the fellows you give money, but they are just corrupt. So one is saying that corruption is known to all humanity. But the reason why we find it greatly painful in Africa is you find a head of state or a cabinet minister taking money from a poor population and a poor country and keeping it in the Panamas or in all these countries, while even the monies that you see African countries borrow, the presidents, most of them actually have that money. At one time, it is said that President Mobutu Sese Seko of what was then Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of Congo, had more money than his own country. And the irony, of course, is that he had stolen it from the country. So never be impressed by the idea Africa is more corrupt. Corruption in Africa is just more crude and more painful and more hurtful because it denies us of very basic requirements. Corruption will never be totally eliminated.
If you ask yourself, right, when these African leaders steal money from their respective countries, where do they go to hide it? Ask yourself. You will see an African leader from a West African country, a very poor country, but the leader has many things in France. The leader has bought houses in France, cars, yachts, private jets. Where did all this money came from? How did he earn all this wealth that he is displaying in abroad? You have to ask yourself this question. You will see a country in Africa where the people are suffering. The people can't even get enough to eat. But the ministers will be driving luxurious cars. The ministers will be living in 5-star hotels. The ministers, when they travel abroad, they either hire a private jet to take them abroad or they travel business class. Ministers, people who are supposed to serve the public, people who are supposed to make sure that the public is being taken care of, are the ones stealing everything. And that is why when you go to a country in Central Africa and you see the road network, you see the electricity situation, the drinking water situation, you will shed tears. You ask yourself, what is really the problem? And these leaders, I just believe they are outright selfish and wicked and just diabolical. I have to say this. Because they travel abroad, they see what is being done elsewhere. When they go to France, they see the road network, they see the facilities, and I bet you they like it. When they go to China to ask for loans, they see the Chinese airport, they see the large roads, they see the workable system. How can they not try to implement that in their own countries? How can they not? How would they just sit by and watch everything fall apart? All they do is steal from the people. That's all what they do. Before I end this video, I want all of us to bear in mind that even though corruption is as it is in Africa, and even though Prof has made it very clear about the way corruption is being done in Africa, we mustn't forget the fact that the West have been the one empowering corrupted leaders in Africa. They have directly or indirectly supported this kind of bad behavior from our African leaders. Because take for example, if you steal from your country, if you steal something and ask a friend to hide it for you, and the friend asks no question whatsoever, isn't that friend an enabler? Isn't that friend enabling you to do what you are doing? Isn't that friend encouraging you to continue with such a nasty behavior? I will leave you with that thought. Let it sink in for a second. But you guys out there, share your thoughts and opinions with us in the comment section below. Is it fair that the West, Amnesty International and all those other Western institutions categorize Africa as the most corrupted place in the world? Is it fair that most the so-called Western nations are corruption-free, but African countries are super corrupt? Aren't they somehow responsible for what is going on in Africa? Share your thoughts and opinions with us in the comment section below, because like always, we love hearing what you have to say. And also, please don't forget to like this video, share this video, follow our Facebook page, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel, because little bit of good we like the way you're doing just now. Help us, our Lord. I shall forever be grateful to you. So thank you very much for doing just that. And like always, see you in the next one.